back to JG3 Reviews, where we explore the world of fountain pens, ink, and paper. And today it is, as you can see by all the waving around, a fountain pen. This is the new Asvine P20. P stands for piston. This is a piston-filled fountain pen. If you're not familiar with what that means, stay tuned. I will explain. If you're wondering what the 20 stands for, ain't got no ID, as we like to say here in Texas. I don't know, but I do know this is a great pen, and I want to show you some of its pros and its cons and what I think about this pen. So let's spin that camera and dive right in. All right, the Asvine P20 comes in this box, or this is the outer box anyway. It has, of course, a plastic box inside that the pen is actually in. You can already see there are instructions, very minimal here, just a very durable plastic box, so at least your pen should arrive in great shape, and lots of foam there in the middle. And then you have the manual, and this manual is for all of their pens. Now, there are only two Asvine models that I'm aware of at the moment. There is this one, and there is that vac-filled pen, which is excellent, by the way. I'll share a link to that review at the end of this video. But you have here the instruction for the pens that they make, or since some of these I'm unaware of them making at the moment, perhaps future product offerings. At least that's how I choose to optimistically look at the manual. So the pen, let's look at that pen. Now immediately you are going to see some similarities between this and some other pens. For example, the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande, or the Mosaico, or just the regular Momento Zero. There's a little bit of all those things. There's also a little bit of Majan M800 going on here. And the reason I say that is, let's just get those other pens, or at least the ones that I have, is that the top of the cap certainly looks a lot like the M800, although it has a steeper rake to the angle here at the conical finial. The clip is still very similar, although this is perhaps more similar to the Momento Zero with that flat-edged wheel, which the Majan M800 does not have. It has a curved wheel. There is, you will notice, a difference too in the clip where this is rounded. This has an angle there at the very center, subtle, but visible even in this light. So there are some differences. Of course, there are trim differences between this and the Momento Zero, and there are trim differences between this and the Majan M800, and there are trim differences between this and the Magico, which I do not own, so I can't put it right up there next to it, but that would be the pen that also has an ink window and a wide band here rather than multiple bands with the design, although the design is different. Now, let's just look at this pen by itself for a second, okay? So you have, again, that conical finial at the top coming down to a fairly thick trim ring, that clip, which is a little stiff but quite thin, so I wouldn't push that. It works very well, just like the other two do as well. Then you come down to that trim band, kind of a Greco-Roman design thing going on there. And then you have the ink window, which is big enough to be functional. I mean, you can see what color ink and everything that I've got in there, so that's great. Then again, all of this resin. And then you do have the twist knob, which I'm not actually going to twist any more than that because, you know, ink, right? So let's open the cap up and look at other details while we're here. You will notice that the grip is not identical to either of those other two pens. And let me just grab the original. You will notice that it is not quite the same. It's good to me in a way because I don't want a direct copy of this pen coming from Asvine, but it's bad in a way because I only own the Majan because I love this grip so much. It is so comfortable. I really like it. I bought that blue one after I reviewed the green one because I like the way that this feels in hand. Not everybody does, okay? That's your mileage may vary. You may prefer the Asvine's grip. I don't know, but there is a difference. That's not a one-for-one copy of that like you might think it would be. And one of the things that I noticed when I opened up the pen, we'll get to the nib in a second, is, and I don't actually know that this is going to come across here in the video, but the chatoyance of the grip and the piston knob and the, grab the right one here, and the cap are not all exactly the same. Now that can happen with any resin pen, especially when you're not getting a single blank to a single pen construction, which from what I can tell is most resin pens from most manufacturers. You're not getting that one-to-one blank to pen thing. For that, you go to basically small businesses, guys working out of the back of their home or with a business, and then you get that. That's one of the benefits of buying a pen from a small pen maker, is that they aren't always just pulling out, whichever cap to go with whichever body to go with to whichever thing. That's what you'll find, and that I see a lot. So there is a difference, and it's just not as deep. Let me show you the cap first, and you just notice this really beautiful material. Look at that. See how deeply that chatoyance comes through. You can see that it's deep down in the material, and you kind of see the same thing here with the piston knob, and you can kind of see the same here with that piston knob. I think that's a good spot to see that. Here we go. Look at that. See how deep that goes? But there's not, and maybe put this cap back on just to give you contrast, there's not anywhere on the barrel where it shines that deeply. Now, this looks better in the camera. You can see that it is chatoyant. It's not that. It's not like they went with plastic here and flat plastic here and deep resin there. It just, the blank that was used for this just has more of the white and less of the depth. So that's my pen. That's not going to be every pen. Somebody out there has the rest of this blank in their barrel, and they're going, nanny, nanny, boo-boo. Anyway, that would be, if I was going to have a negative about my particular pen, not about all of them, man, I would love it if it all looked like this. But that is the lottery you play when you buy a pen made from multiple pieces of resin. It's not anything particular to Asvine. The same would be true. You get a warning when you buy, for example, a Pen BBS pen, that you can't choose what pattern you're going to have or anything like that. It's what comes out of the box, okay? All in all, really quite a beautiful pen, especially when you consider the price. Very, very nice pen. It seems to be well put together. It's well polished. I have found no actual flaws. I don't consider the differences in resin a flaw. That just is, luck of the draw. But as far as the way the pen is made, mine showed up in very, very nice kit. Just really, really nice. When you open the pen up, I'll do that again, you will see that number 6 nib, and you will see that it is a medium. I love that Asvine makes mediums on their pens. Both mine are mediums, and they make a good one. Nice and smooth. This is a wet nib, as you'll see in the writing test to come. Just really, really good. I think the plating and the engraving looks good, especially for a pen of this price. And then, of course, typical plastic feed, like everybody else these days, just about. Again, it is a piston pen. If you're not familiar with piston pen, you would twist this, if you don't have ink in it already, as I do, and it will push a piston down, hence the name, pushes a piston down, and that pushes out the air, and then when you draw it back up again, the vacuum pulls the ink in from the bottle, and that means that it only uses ink from a bottle. For those who are new to these types of pens, just kind of want to throw that in there. So, good looking pen. Everything, when you take it out of the box, you look at it and you think, all right, I think I got a good one. All right, and comparing today, we have the Asvine P20 next to the Leonardo Momento Zero and a Pen BBS 308. Then you have the Lamy All-Star and a Lamy 2000. And here we have the pens unposted. And pulling the camera back significantly, we have the pens posted. All right, and this pen does post, and posts securely. And it is the Asvine, or Asvine, I think I say both. P20 is a piston-filler pen with a number 6 steel medium nib. And let me just tell you, it writes so well. going to be wetter than I'll have room for paper there at the end. It's putting plenty of ink down. It's doing so very evenly, as we'll see in our test here in just a moment, but it just writes beautifully. Bonus points to anybody who knows how to say the name of that town in Texas, and it's not Bogota. You would think so, but Texans have made a state sport of making up odd pronunciations. That's just the way we are. Now, before we do our speed test, I just realized I forgot something. This is Waterman Serenity Blue. I don't know how I forgot that, but I did. Okay, really, really great ink. Use that quite a bit, and it suits this pen well. Just is writing well. Okay, so you've seen it's a wet writer, so I think you know probably how it's going to do on this test, although because of nib tuning, even a wet writer can mess up in this test, right? Let's try it. All right, this lift was me, and that's why I went ahead and did a second line. And I think all you eagle-eye viewers can see, but I believe my lift is the only even overly thin spot in this. This is a really nice, even though it thinned here, that's a nice line. Very good. I think it passes that test with flying colors, or at least with flying Serenity Blue. All right, so let's sum it up. Pros and cons. Pros. This is a good value for this pen. It writes really well. The resin is nice. It's not my favorite resin, and the other colors really didn't appeal to me, so this is the one that appealed the most. But I do really like it, so that's a win. The nib on mine, anyway, and it's the second medium I've gotten from Asvine that was just excellent. So I think they know what they're doing with that nib. Very good. So I would consider that a pro. It has their medium nib. It's a piston filler. That's a pro. Holds plenty of ink. I like that. Seems to be put together well and everything else. Cons, well, it's not the most original design, even though it's not an exact mimicking of a pen. It's still close enough. We kind of know where the design DNA is coming from, right? So there is that, and that would be obviously the number one con. But at least they've differentiated more than some pen makers tend to differentiate, Mahjong. So there is that, and I'll give a slight point to that. We'll give that a half point, right? Any other cons? Well, the pen's been good right out of the box. It's been reliable. It has not dried out on me. It hasn't burnt, leaked, no issues there whatsoever. I guess the only other thing there would be durability, and that we'll see. The pen hasn't been out long enough for anybody to really know about durability yet. It's just a brand new pen. So other than that, I think it's a good pen. If this floats your boat, if there are things there that you look at this and say, you know what, that's just what I'm looking for, then I would encourage you to check it out. Mine turned out to be a really good pen, and I always love it when that happens. All right, God bless you. Enjoy your pens. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next review.